We're going to talk about now, as we always do in the second hour of the program, at the very top, superlatives.
Go ahead. You lead
this
it off
time,
today.
I will, and I'm going to start with the Welcome Back McCaffrey Award. Christian McCaffrey, back and did not miss a beat in helping the Carolina Panthers put a scare into the Kansas City Chiefs. It's something I said last night, and I talked about this to Travis Kelce after the game. Look, the Chiefs are always going to take the absolute best that every team they face has to muster because the Chiefs are the measuring stick. The Chiefs are the ultimate measuring stick right now in the NFL. If you can just play close to the Chiefs, if you could somehow beat them, that's a huge, huge deal. So every week, no matter who the opponent is, the Chiefs have to be ready for the onslaught. And it seems like the Chiefs themselves get locked in for certain great opponents.
Yeah.
But for the run-of-the-mill teams, they kind of sleepwalk at times. Regardless, McCaffrey back with 100 yards from scrimmage again, actually 151 total, 18 rushes for 69 yards and a touchdown, 10 catches on 10 targets for 82 yards and a touchdown. This is why he gets $16 million a year. The guy's basically a receiver and a running back in the same body. It was refreshing to see him come back and have a big day after missing 7 weeks with a high ankle sprain. But I will say this, and you spotted it when it happened, Chris. Late in the game, he took a hit at the sideline, and he wasn't right.
Right.
It was either collarbone or shoulder and he's on the sideline, and he's kind of doing this. He came back for a play. After the game, Matt Rule didn't have any update. McCaffrey didn't meet with reporters because of the pandemic. You know, and hey, why wouldn't you meet with reporters? Your first game back in 7 weeks. Why isn't he one of the guys that they put out there to have the Zoom video conference with reporters? I just feel like this is one of those where we have to kind of wait
watch it a little bit.
See. There may be something there. And I'll give you another reason why. I poked around last night with usually some reliable and helpful and cooperative sources that are in position to know a little bit about this, and I got crickets.
Ooh,
and sometimes sometimes those crickets mean
something's going on.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But still, hey, if yesterday was the only time we see him again, and I'm not saying it is, but congratulations, McCaffrey's back, and even though the Panthers lost another one, this is a team that has a very bright future. Teddy Bridgewater's awesome. McCaffrey is awesome. And Matt Rule has done a great job rebuilding this team on the fly.
Yeah, I mean, they're just they have the appropriate game plan every week. I mean, there's never a game where they come out and you just go, what are they doing? What were they thinking? How stupid was that? Wow, they don't seem ready to play today. I mean, Matt Rule has them ready to play every week. You know, Teddy Bridgewater played well yesterday. Yeah, like you said, McCaffrey, hey, forget that he's a talented runner. It's all the passing game, let alone the other weapons you have to match up with. I mean, hey, listen, we talk about the Chiefs' weapons, and I'll talk about them here in a second. But McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, damn, that's up there with anybody in football. I mean, it's anybody. And, you know, the only thing they don't have there is just an electric, big-time quarterback. But Teddy Bridgewater's still damn good. He really is. And that's where McCaffrey really helps out Bridgewater, because Bridgewater's not a throw the ball down the field, let me flip field position with one throw type of guy. McCaffrey, 5'4", run after the catch. That's Teddy Bridgewater's game. But I think, to me, more than anything, you know, and again, hey, it's like another game. The Chiefs win. Yeah, he throws for 4 touchdowns and no interceptions. Kelce, 100 yards receiving. Tyreek Hill, 100 yards receiving. But so what? Like, they were not on their A game, like you said yesterday. It was more like a B-minus game. And it's not even like it's it was everything. It was sloppy across the way. I mean, letting up the fake punt, you know, when they kind of have a chance to get momentum back. Some bad penalties and some bad moments. Chris Jones had one where they're going to get off the field and he gets an unnecessary roughness call and goes crazy for a second there. So, yeah, we've seen this from the Chiefs. You're all over it. They're just not buckled in all the time, and the Panthers are one of those teams that we've seen you can't take them lightly. They're going to play everybody close. That was a fun game to watch. Anything else?
Chiefs are now on their bye.
Yeah.
Chiefs are now on their bye. They have the Raiders on Sunday Night Football in Las Vegas when they come back. And Kelce told me, I don't plan on losing any more or many more this year, and they are locked. They may have been caught flat-footed against the Raiders the last time. They are going to be determined to come out of this bye week, and we know how good Andy Reid coach teams are when you give them extra time to prepare. They're going to be determined to beat the Raiders. So you know what's going to happen. We're all going to pick the Chiefs. The Raiders are going to win, and then all the Raiders' social media accounts are going to rub our faces in it.
No,
that's 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
Future prediction.
Nah, it won't happen. We're all going to pick the Chiefs. The Chiefs won't be asleep this time against the Raiders. They won't. I won't buy that. They'll be ready to go because of that loss, and they'll be a little angry about it. Chiefs, hey, you've said it, and it's real. They are the Super Bowl champs. They are the team that everybody wants to watch and see the highlights and see what Patrick Mahomes does. I mean, they are that team. So they get the best shot from everybody. And, yeah, I think what's scary is they don't play their best football and they come down to the level of opponents, but they still win games. And here they are where you can really look at them and go, they've only played like maybe 2 A games this year, but here they are, 1 loss and setting themselves up, and that's what's scary. I mean, it really is, because you just go, whoa, if they get it all together here, how damn good are they going to be? And that's what's awesome about Kansas City. What else? What?
And they play their best games against the best teams.
They do.
That's what's scary about the postseason. They know when to show up at the right time. All right, what's your first one this week?
Well, I'll give the bounce back award. I'm going to go there with the Ravens, just everything about them, the way they played that football game against the Colts. Really, I want to give credit to Lamar Jackson. The stats, anything like that, are not going to show how good he was in this football game. Again, I was critical last week of some of his throwing and everything they do, but, here we are. Their defense makes a few plays, but in the second half, they weren't able just to rely on overpower run game. And he was really a pocket quarterback in the second half of the football game, was smart, understood what kind of game he was in, wasn't going to take a chance and go, oh, let me, take a chance here and try to make some spectacular play and, let the Colts defense, who's awesome, kind of jumpstart their team with a turnover. But, of course, we know the running is special. But the 10, you look at this, 10 for net, 119, yards, a rushing TD. On 3 of their 5 possessions there in the second half. That was him being smart, accurate throws, right on the money, letting receivers run, do that. I thought that was big for him. It really was. It's not going to get a lot of headlines, but I think it's going to be one thing where, again, they're going to go, okay, here's another level with the step up in the pass game. Looks pretty good. And then, of course, that defense just started to steamroll there in the second half. I mean, that game was fascinating, and I think that turnover was really the big aspect of the game that we probably need to talk about for a second.
You mean are you talking about the Chris Clark?
The Chris Clark one was
Rivers or the interception?
Yeah, I want to go to the interception. The Chris Clark one, just to hit on that, I think was important because the Colts were totally controlling the game. They went down the field and scored a touchdown, and they were going down the field again to where you were going, whoa, they're going to go up 14-0 here. At the very least, it looked like 10-0. They got that big play. But the Marcus Peters interception, that, I'm sorry, I still can't sit here and tell you that I think he caught that football. I don't. What's your final say on that, Mike, after watching highlights and seeing it a bunch of times?
Back to the Chuck Clark play, though, it was great because even though I'm in West Virginia this year due to the pandemic, I have a live link into the viewing room. And Chris is saying as the play is happening, man, the Colts are really putting it to him. The Ravens just don't have anything today. And the next thing you know, there goes Chuck Clark the other way with a football, jumping over Philip Rivers, scored a touchdown.
It was on point.
It happened at that moment. As it unfolded, he was saying it. All right, the Marcus Peters interception. When I saw it the first time, I thought, what the hell? There's no way that is a catch. But then when you watch it slowly, and again, I don't know if that makes it clear and obvious, the 50 drunks in a bar standard. Under that standard, it wasn't an interception. But if we are going to utilize the technology and look at it frame by frame and look at the 2 key factors, which is possession of the football, and he had it in both hands. We saw a catch recently ruled where a guy never put a second hand on it. They gave the guy a one-handed catch, exclusive one-handed catch, and they called that possession. He had the ball in both hands long enough for 3 feet to hit. The ball started to wobble a little bit after the 3rd foot hit. The ball came out. It was a fumble at that point. It was recovered by the Ravens. That's what the ultimate ruling was after replay review. And I talked to John Harbaugh about it after the game. That, among many other things, he's always a great listen after, especially after a win. Maybe not so much after a loss, but he saw it in real time, and he's like, "That's an incompletion." And then he looks up on the big screen at Lucas Oil Stadium, and he sees it, and he thinks, "Wait a minute,
Yeah.
possession,
Right.
3 feet." Holy crap, that's an interception.
Yeah.
So, you talk to the people in your headset that give you advice, and as Sean Payton has said from time to time, those people get very quiet when it's really close. But when Harbaugh said, yeah, that's a catch, they all agreed. He threw the red flag, and Al Riveron agreed. And again, does it scream out it's an interception? Does it pass that just kind of like know it when you see it? It didn't seem like he had it long enough. But what they did when they changed the standard a few years ago, they made that third foot sufficient objective evidence to complete the act. So you have 2 hands on the ball and you take 3 steps, that's it. It's a catch, or as the case may be, an interception. So I've come around on this one. I think it was the right call.
Yeah, I have a hard time with it. It looks like the real right call because all we do is see it in super slow motion now. And again, I understand the 3-step rule. I still thought, I don't know, I wasn't sold that on the first 2 steps total possession was made there. I just go back to clear and obvious. On the field, it wasn't. Was it that clear and obvious that it was an interception? No, it's not, because there's 50 non-drunks in an NBC production room yesterday, and most of them didn't think it was an interception. So that to me is where I don't get it. I don't. And listen, we might as well hit that. A similar play happened in the Arizona-Miami game.
Hang on. Let's hear from Phillip Rivers before we move on to the Arizona-Miami
I'm getting
game.
excited.
Here's Phillip Rivers, who clearly disagrees with the ultimate assessment that was made.
It's gotten so really jacked up of how the catch rule is. I mean, nobody that's played any amount of football or that has been around the game watched that and thought it was a catch, including the guy that dropped it. But, you can slow it down to milliseconds and you can just make it a technicality about 3 feet touch the ground, even though, somebody that's sitting back watching that's probably hadn't thrown a football in his life gets to call it. So.
Wow.
Hey, a little
I think
bitter.
Al Riveron is throwing a football, but here's the thing. This wasn't automatic review. John Harbaugh, who knows a thing or two about football, saw it, understands the rules, and realizes, even though in real time it didn't look like a catch, and Chris, I'm telling you, because I went through this yesterday, because what they do is they post the video, Al Riveron narrates, and he says all the perfunctory check-the-box stuff, like, well, there's possession and 3 feet. It's like you try to tune that out and just watch it. If you watch it enough times, it's like, hey, wait. He's got 2 hands on the ball, and it's 1, 2, 3, and then the ball starts coming out. That's, even though it didn't feel like it, even though it didn't look like it, they've defined the catch to be possession. And if you get that third step, that's it.
Isn't he inactive going to the ground, though? I mean, that's where I just...
Doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
They got rid of all that going to the ground crap. You don't have to survive the ground, as they like to say. You get 3 steps down. Because what they tried, they struggled for years to come up with a standard.
Yeah, I know, it's tough.
That would match objective and subjective. The subjective, know it when you see it. It's a catch in my heart. At the gut level, I know it's a catch. Let's come up with a standard that brings the two together. I think our point here, if there is one, is that we've identified an example of a situation where objectively, it's a catch. Subjectively, we look at it and we say, that's not a catch. Objectively, though, it is, and that's all that matters.
No, I you're right. And I think, again, I don't like it. I don't think it's a catch, but I think you're right. At some point, they have to make something to say, okay, this is what it means to subjectively have that catch, and the 3-step thing is about as good as you get. And, it is what it is. That's, to me, it's a tough one. Either way, it was a good football game. As we saw, that was a big part of the football game because the Colts were winning at that moment. Not that they were controlling, but it was the Ravens who had just gone on a really long drive, fumbled the ball down there close, right, with the Gus Edwards fumble, And you went, whoa, wow. I mean, the Colts might get out of this. Let's see what happens. And that was the second play of that drive. Interception, set up a short field. Ravens go down, score. And that really put them in the position of power to where they never relinquished that from there on out. And fun game to watch, but good for the Baltimore Ravens. Good for John Harbaugh, as you brought up. He's always on top of it, as for the most part, as far as game management is concerned. He's as good as it gets in football.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
As it relates to being on the wrong side of a call like that, we saw how upset Phillip Rivers was after the game. When you're in a situation like that and you feel like you get screwed during a game, how hard is it as a player to set it aside, or does it just keep bothering you? Man, I'm still upset about. I mean, how do you process that emotion and forget about it and move on?
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it could affect the next drive. And as I'm sitting here, I'm going back to go look at. I'm going, what did they do the next drive? And as I sit here, they went 3 and out. That can be. Yeah, you sit there, and instead now when you're watching the Ravens offense go down the field, you're still thinking about, and I'm going to do Philip, gosh, jolly gee, George, how did they call that interception? And he's not looking at his pick. Damn, Al Riveron, gosh, jolly gee, he's never thrown a pass in his life before. He's in New York sitting all pretty, you know what I mean? So that's where it can be a little bit distracting that way. But
instead of grabbing the Microsoft Surface and looking at what's happening and getting ready for the next drive.
How do we want to attack? That's, I mean, at least in my experience. Now, Phillip Rivers is a legend, and maybe he's smarter than me to be able to compartmentalize. You know what I'm saying? Get that out of his head.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah,
compartmentalize.
Gotcha.
I know what you're saying.
Exactly.
Get that out of his head. All right. Dalvin Cook cooking up an MVP award. That's my next one. And here, look.
He's
loves on pace
them.
For over.
He loves them not.
No. Listen,
he loves
this
them.
Is completely. Will you shut up? I love Dalvin Cook. I don't know about the rest of the team right now, but what Dalvin Cook is doing is spectacular. And I think back to Adrian Peterson in 2012, where Peterson made that late second half push and just started going crazy, and ultimately won the MVP award. If the Vikings can work their way somehow into the playoffs, and it's not going to be easy. When you look at the upcoming schedule, bingo, there are plenty of wins dotting the landscape. They could get, and Tarico was trying to get me to take the bait yesterday because officially my position is the annulment papers have been filed between me and the Vikings. But Tarico was like, hey, they could be 7-5. And when you look at the schedule, they can be 7-5 after starting 1-5. And Dalvin Cook is the reason. 226 yards from scrimmage last week, 252 this week, 6 touchdowns. He's only the third guy in NFL history to have 225 yards from scrimmage or more and 2 touchdowns or more in consecutive weeks, joining Jim Brown and Deuce McAllister. He matched Emmitt Smith for at least 1 rushing touchdown in each of the first 7 games of a season. That's the only 2 who have ever done that. He's got 12 rushing touchdowns in 7 games. That's third all-time through the first 7 games of the season. When he plays, and the first 2 games for the Vikings, they were trying to find their way offensively.
Yeah, right.
They locked in on Cook after week 2 when they gave the Titans everything they could handle, when all of a sudden the Vikings felt like they could be competitive. And Cook, other than the injury, because he got the groin injury in the third quarter of the Seahawks game. He was on pace for another 100-yard plus from scrimmage game, 130 yards rushing he would have had. He's been spectacular since week 3. And as they get into the second half of the season, if he can keep that up, we're looking at all these quarterbacks as MVP candidates. Let's not rule out a guy who, and they never give you a definition for what it means to be MVP. He clearly is the most valuable player on the Vikings, because without him, they'd be possibly 1-7 or 0-8.
No, I mean he's a special football player, and they got a chance to go on a run. But it's amazing. First off, how talented he is, and then it shows, the run game intelligence and coaching of Gary Kubiak once again. I mean, he's just amazing that way. How he can continue week by week, him, Rick Dennison, who's up there, been a longtime friend and coaching partner of him, where they can find these ways and these different schemes on a week-to-week basis to kind of crack the code of every defense, where you go, they know the first thing they have to do is stop Dalvin Cook, yet doesn't matter. He finds ways to do it. And, once they get that going, and Kubiak's so good at finding ways to get it going through his years with Shanahan and everything, that's when, hey, Justin Jefferson, Thielen, the play action passes and screens become alive, and they really got you once they got you at that point. But, man, is he something to watch. His acceleration through the hole is as good as anybody in football. And then, he has a long speed to just outrun people, too. It's rare that he has that type of acceleration and the type of speed to go on a 70-yard touchdown. But Minnesota hanging tough, really. Got a lot of respect for them. Mike Zimmer, everything he's doing. I've had some tough losses, but here they are at 3-5. And just as Florio wanted to get out, they pull him back in. And they go, no, you are not leaving our Vikings fandom quite yet. And you're not allowed to jump back on the bandwagon if they get in the playoffs this year. I'm not letting it happen, just so you know. You're off.
Okay, that's fine.
You're done with that. You're done. I'm not letting you go back, okay?
That's fine because my son continues to be on the bandwagon, and he will be happy. And, as a parent, all you really want is for your kids to be happy.
Yeah, I get that. Yes, that's so sweet. What a good daddy you are. All right. I think I want to give the stay the hell out of the way award to the Chicago Bears offense as my next superlative. Just stay the hell out of the way, okay? Just, try to do something positive every now and then and let your defense play, please, because, it's every week they find a way. Their offense, it's just so ugly and crappy. And I know they hung around yesterday, with the Tennessee Titans with a lot of late yards and, some points that way. But, man, can that offense, they can't do anything. They really can't. It's just there's no imagination. There's no toughness. They seem to have a bad turnover every week, and they got this great defense who can just about stop anybody, but they do them an injustice by always giving turnover, short field, not being able to stay on the field that way. That was an ugly game yesterday. It was there to be had. Tennessee wasn't exactly clicking on all cylinders. They were struggling. That Bears defense was all over Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill. They couldn't find anything to do. But, man, Bears offense can't do anything. They can't make any plays. And, okay, if you're going to be like that, that's fine. But stop making plays for the other team. That's the thing they've continually done the last few weeks. And it's a Super Bowl defense. And it's a crap offense. And I don't know where it goes with the Bears. But you could see they could play with just about anybody because of that defense. And they find a way to screw it up a lot.
All right, I was going to say.
Yeah, that was mine.
That
was mine.
Stay the hell out of the way. All right,
I
agree with you. Stay the hell out of the way. And the Bears host the Vikings next Monday night, which, yesterday afternoon's game between the Vikings and the Lions was for third place in the division. Now here comes the second place game. Not that anybody's going to catch the Packers, but the Vikings could find a way to maybe thrust themselves into the conversation for a wild card berth if they could keep this up. Next one for me, this is the Cool Hand Luton Award. I got to give Jake Luton a little love, especially since I called him Luke Jayton all week. Hey, right out of the gates, long touchdown pass for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Maybe they're going to surprise the Texans yesterday, and they took it down to the wire. There was a 13-yard touchdown run by Jake Luton to make it a 2-point game. They failed to tie it up with the 2-point conversion, and the Jacksonville Jaguars ultimately lost, but they got something in Jake Luton. Just like they had something a year ago in Gardner Minshew. And with Minshew, with the fractures in his thumb, maybe you let it ride with Jake Luton.
Yeah,
maybe Jake Luton saves jobs this year the way Gardner Minshew saved some jobs last year, Chris.
Well, it was a good start nonetheless. We'll see where it goes. I would think he gets, another opportunity with Minshew's, availability and the broken bones in his hands and everything like that. But saw some of these things when he came out of Oregon State in college. He's got great control of the football. Very rarely is off target. He's a decent athlete, as we saw on the touchdown run at the end of the game to get the game close, spin move in the end zone, but smart, and it's a good arm. It's not a great arm, but he can make all the throws, certainly, and he's got good size. There's a lot to like about what he brings to the table. Now, I don't know if he's franchise starting quarterback. I'd like to see a little bit more there, but either way, that was an impressive start for him, definitely. And, hey, while we're at it, we just got to talk about Deshaun Watson, too. He's damn good, too. The Texans are not a real good football team, but he continues to play like he's one of the 10 best quarterbacks in the game. He's going to get lost in the shuffle this year, but he's still really damn good and made a handful of plays yesterday himself.
Yeah, it's just a shame that he's on a team where They just don't have enough help around him. And that should be a very attractive head coaching job. I know they don't have their first or second round pick next year thanks to the Larry Tunsil and Kenny Stills trade, but you've got Deshaun Watson. And they fired Bill O'Brien 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago now. Hopefully they're taking full advantage of this time to identify the best candidate to come in and get the most out of Deshaun Watson, because he deserves to have a better team around him, Chris.
Yeah, no, he does. He definitely does. And, yeah, they got some work cut out for them. So they got a lot of stuff to figure out in that organization, and then they can start to get that roster going on the right track. What is it, mine or yours? This is mine, right? Here we go. You did Cool Hand Luden.
One more for you. One more for you if you got one.
I mean, lightning strikes again. I mean, we haven't talked about the Chargers. Usually it's the Chargers blowing leads and then the other team winning, but here was a case where Chargers came back. Raiders had chances to put them away. Chargers get the ball one more time. Here comes Justin Herbert down the field. Man, I mean, 2 plays in the end zone. Mike Williams goes up the first time on 3rd down. And then on 4th down, it was a Pullum. Am I getting his name right there? Yeah, Parham. Excuse me. He just misses a catch in a one-on-one ball at the end there. But wow, I mean, first off, there's the Raiders. Good job by them once again, running the ball well. Derek Carr was pretty efficient for the most part of the day, but the Chargers just cannot figure out how to win a football game at the end. It's unbelievable. Whether it's closing it out or coming back, there is just an element of their team that is missing that way, that they can't seem to come through in these 50-50 type games.
And you're absolutely right. They're 2-6, the best 2-6 team around, which isn't much of a consolation. And they've definitely broken new ground with the whole face covering thing. This is a Chargers coach from yesterday.
Oh, I saw that.
Take it to break. That's a pair of shorts. That's a pair of shorts.
He's got a hook on there. I can see it. It's not a pair of shorts. There's a hook around his ear.
It's well, maybe that's the string. It's a pair of shorts, and which is fitting because earlier this year when the Raiders played the Patriots, John Gruden wore a loincloth over his face. So if you're going to go with
you know who that is,
or any. Who? I can't
it's
tell.
It's a special teams coach. He used to play linebacker for the Broncos back in the day. I'm blanking on his damn name, and it's killing me.
So
here.
You don't know who it is either.
No, but I know you know who it is, and I know who it is too, and I can't find it out, and it's killing me here.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.